Hi, so I'm back for a second episode. I want to thank everyone for your comments, suggestions. I would like to mention that I'm using my laptop to film. It's fairly old and the fan keeps going. I've tried to change things up a bit this week. I've put it on my computer stand. Maybe the fan won't won't go off as much as before. But yeah, you're always gonna have that tiny bit of background noise until I figure out a different way of filming. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is my version of the split top by La Maison Rilili, and I made this last year for the CAL that Ovelha Negra hosted during July and August, and I won the prize at the end of it. I was the first one to finish the shirt, the top. So I got 5 skeins of this gorgeous yarn, which I'll show later. Okay, so I'm gonna stand up to show you the whole thing, and then I suggest you go to my Ravelry page and see the pictures I've got there for more close-up shots and everything, because I don't know how good it's going to show off here. So let me stand up. It's just a simple little top, some waist decreases, cute little. Let's see, I don't see. You're going to have to go onto Ravelry to see this. It's cute little cable increases here on the side. There's also one over here on the back. Then there's this cute, hence the name split top, little opening here, and more cables at the top, and you can see there's 3 lines in a different color. Okay, so excuse me. The yarn I used is Ovelha Negra's Olivia. It's a merino cotton blend, and it's gorgeous to work with. And believe it or not, I knit the XL size because I like my tops slightly larger. I don't feel too comfortable when they're too tight. And I only used 2.5 skeins of the blue, and like roughly 2 grams of the brown, which is mainly used for the stripes here and for the cast off on the sleeves and on the bottom. What can I say about the pattern? I love it. I actually love it so much that I decided I wanted to make another one straight away using the same colors, just flipping them around. So the body is in brown, and then the stripes and the little highlights, shall we call them, around the edges of the neck here and the sleeves are in this blue. Except I was like, what am I going to do with 2 tops that are basically the same? I decided to turn it into a dress. I've not finished it yet. Other things got in the way. I put it down. I had to wait because I didn't have enough yarn to begin with. I only had sorry, I only bought 1 skein of the brown because, you know, I was going to use like 2 grams of it or something. So I had to wait for more yarn to come in, which it did come in, but because I had to wait, I started new projects, and it's a project that I have on the go when I go to knit groups, because it's just simple, straightforward knitting. I sorry, I have come to the point where I'm going to have to put it on some waist yarn to see if the length is okay, so I can start doing the bind off at the bottom. Yeah, so I'll show that in a future podcast, not right now. Like I said, the pattern is very well written, easy to follow. Yeah, it's a great pattern, and go on Ravelry, check her out. She has amazing patterns. I have like several of them on my list to do. I didn't join the Cal for February, hosted by Ovelha Negra, which is another one of her designs, and it's I'm not too good at French, so if I say this wrong, sorry. It's Descends-moi un mouton, which is reference to Le Petit Prince. Gorgeous sweater. I have the yarn for it already. I was actually going to use the yarn I'm going to use for a different project, but I've decided to change projects on the yarn. So anyway, behind me, and I'll take it down in a second so you can see it closer up, is the True Friend by Vera Valimaki from Interpretations Volume 2. I knit the small size because this sweater has a lot of positive ease, and I did mention I like my sweaters slightly on the large size, but also don't want them too large, so the small size fits me perfectly. And I used the darker blue here is Malabrigo sock yarn, and I used, let me see, 1.5 skeins. Sorry, I'm looking at the notes so that I have all the things. The other one, the stripy, the greener stripes, is Yarn Adventures, which is dyed by Filomena, and that's in her sea glass color. I forgot to put up show notes for last week's episode. I'll be doing that later today, and I'll set up the show notes for this episode, and I'll put all the links in there, linking to my project pages for these projects, to the yarns I used, all that. So I'll put all the links in, and you can go check them out on my blog, which I'll put at the end of the podcast so you can see it, or maybe I'll put it down here somewhere. So moving on to works in progress. Oh no, let's continue with the finished object, shall we? Last week I showed you my Hermione's Everyday socks. That's here. I finished the Snapes that I was working on. So here's the one sock, and here's the second sock. Now, what I found, I'd already knit the Hermione's Everyday sock once before, and I continued the patterning, this section here, onto the foot section, and I find it slightly irritates me in the shoes I wear. My shoes are slightly tighter maybe, and when it gets too hot, I start getting itchy feet because of the pearl ridges. So what I've decided with these is to do the foot plain, and I did the same on the Snape, because you know there's the textured part over here. It's another pattern by Erica Luder. So it's another pattern by Erica Luder, another free pattern on Ravelry. The yarn I'm using is the Tiger yarn. I think it'll wear well. It's not one of those softer sock yarns, but I've used rougher yarns in this, and it will be fine. So this is the sock yarn I used, and like I mentioned last week, this does not have a color. It just has a batch, which if you buy yarns at the same time, different colors, they're all going to have the same batch number. So it's, you know, I made up my own names and put them on Ravelry. Okay, that was my finished object for the week. Pair of socks. I finished these on Thursday, and I started straight away on the next pair, which are my Dumbledore's Christmas stockings. Started them on 225s. I started them on Friday, sorry. It was already way too late on Thursday when I finished the Snapes to start on a pair of socks, as I have to get up early in the morning to go work. So I started the Dumbledore's Christmas stockings on Friday, and I did the ribbing and maybe one repeat of the pattern. And I did them 225s. And then yesterday, I should mention today's Sunday, the 13th of March. Yesterday was the Tricoteiras do Porto get-together. That's the knitting group I belong to. Usually we have our get-together on the 4th Saturday of the month, but because March is going to be is a bit of a weird month this year, we have Easter on the 4th Saturday. Let's say the 4th Saturday of March falls between Good Friday and Easter Sunday, so there will probably not be a lot of people around to come to the get-together. So we were going to host it on the 3rd Saturday. But here in Portugal we celebrate Father's Day on the 19th of March every year. And as it happens, the 3rd Saturday is, yes, you guessed it, the 19th of March. So again, another Saturday, not a lot of people would show up. Then my friend Rosario, Dona Maria, like I mentioned, I'll put links in everywhere. She decided to come up to Porto. She's from the Lisbon area, and she decided to come up to Porto yesterday. So we decided to hold our knitting get-together yesterday, and it was great fun. Actually, another one of the people that usually joins us, Isabel, she made a little video towards the end of the get-together, and I'll link to her YouTube channel to the video so you can see it. It is all in Portuguese, but you get the general gist of what happens at our get-togethers. Yesterday was a bit more, how shall I say it, like maybe over the top, like exciting kind of thing, because Rosario was there. She brought her yarn. Filomena was there, who always brings her yarn, or most of the time she brings her yarn. So there's a lot of yarn this time to show off. And basically we were all knitting socks because, you know, it's March and we're all doing Dona Maria's cowl, knitting socks. So I want to show you these socks now. Well, what I was saying is that I was knitting them on 225s. Yesterday throughout the day I knit on these. And when I got home I decided to try them on because I thought they were more or less at the point where I needed to start the heel, and they were way too tight, really way too tight. And I thought about continuing them and maybe giving them to someone else, but I really like this yarn. I really wanted to make socks for myself out of this yarn, so I ripped the whole thing out and started again on 2.5mm needles. And the result is much better. I guess this yarn is a lot thinner than the other two yarns I used for the other socks. This is the Regia Vermont color, shade number 06029. I showed this last week. It's gorgeous, like burgundy, dark blue and grays. So here's the sock now. I've ended up doing just 2 repeats of the pattern and already done the heel. And I've finished the gusset decreases, and now I'm on the foot section. So now it's just plain knitting. Again, I'm not doing patterning on the front, on the foot, because I know that's just gonna, because there's purl bumps and all that. This one might not, maybe not annoy me as much, because it's more, it's not just one stitch every now and then, it's like several sections of stitches. You can actually see the pattern quite well. Again, this is an Erica Luder pattern. It's free on Ravelry, go check it out. Okay, so that's what I'm working on. I'm not working on anything else, just my socks. Let me just get this out of the way. Yesterday morning, before the get-together, as on these weekends, usually the 4th, yesterday, or okay, this weekend was the second weekend of March, I asked my parents to take care of the dogs for the weekend so that I don't have to be worried about how long they're alone. I can hang out with my friends. Usually on Sundays, I also go to do stuff. I don't stay home, I go out and everything. So it's like a one weekend where I can just not worry about my dogs. I know that they're being well taken care of. They have their other two friends to play with. They have a great time. It's extremely sunny this weekend. It's fantastic weather. Really looks like spring is finally here, but you know, then again, next week could be rainy. We don't know. Temperatures aren't too bad. It's like 17, 18 degrees. So yeah, for me, this is perfect weather. I love this weather. I love the warm weather in the summer as well, but I don't mind this weather. I love it. I was gonna go to Serralves this morning, but I decided not to. I have way too much to do today, so I'm just gonna stay home, film this podcast, make my project show notes, make sure it's all up on the blog, and then do the rest of the things I have to do today. So yeah, I was saying, on these weekends, what I usually do, unless I have something else planned, in the mornings, I get up and I go down to Ovelha Negra, and I spend the morning there with either Joanas that work there. So, you know, sometimes the one is not there, the other one's there. Doesn't matter. I love hanging out with all of them, with both of them. There's another Joanna that usually comes to the All Knit Longs that I mentioned last week. So, yeah, and more people walk in, unless there's workshops going on, and then we have to be more quiet and we can't, you know, talk so loud or whatever. Yesterday there was no workshop going on in the morning, and so yeah, I had a nice morning sitting with Joanna, talking, you know, showing off what I was knitting, customers coming in and out. So yeah, it was actually the morning went by really, really fast. Seriously, usually it seems to stretch out longer. Yesterday it like went mega fast. So the new Rowan magazine has just come out, and I'd asked her to reserve one for me because I really love like so many of the patterns in there. So she gifted this to me. How nice is that? I mean, seriously. Thank you, Joana. A sério. Obrigada. Okay, there's so many patterns in here that I want to make. I won't be making them just yet because I have other things to do, but I love the cables. I love cables. This one, for instance. I don't know how well you can see this. I'm going to see this. This is cables and lace. This is fantastic. And this is using Summer Light 4-ply, and it's a Martin Story pattern. I probably won't use this yarn. I'll find whatever's in my stash that's suitable. I have no stash enhancement, but I will show you yarn by Ovelha Negra because Joanna was very kind to say that if I do a giveaway, she's going to be nice enough to offer the yarn for this giveaway. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to do it. I probably will be creating a group on Ravelry to do this. But yeah, I haven't sorted out the details. As soon as I know something, I'll let you know. I have to talk to Joanna to see exactly how we're going to do this, what yarn she's going to give and all that, and quantities, and we'll see. But I'd like to show you the yarn I have in stash. I have all her yarn except for the first one that came out, which is the Victoria, and that's in 2 thicknesses. That is like a fingering and a lace. I will be getting my hands on some of the fingering weight for a blanket I'm planning on making, but that's more towards the end of the year because we're going into summer now. It's 100% wool, and it's going to be too hot to work with. I know because I've worked with similar yarns. It's 100% Portuguese yarn, I should say, really. And this yarn is really warm. It's usually used to make blankets here in Portugal because it is a more rustic yarn. Anyway, let's get on with the yarns. So the yarn I used for this top is Olivia, and I'm going to show you the 5 skeins that I won. Okay, so this first one is what I had left over from the top I made, and this is color number 34. Then the ones I won, I wanted to make a shawl, the deep end I think it's the deep end shawl by Heidi Kiermaier. I'm gonna have to check that because I'm not sure, but I'll put a link to the shawl that I want to make in the show notes. Joanna, this is the other Joanna. It's gonna get confusing. She made one in like greens, shades of green. Gorgeous. She helped me pick the color combination for mine. So these are the skeins that I won for winning, for being the first person to finish the sweater and showing pictures of it. So I got this green. It's like a lettuce color, a bit brighter maybe. It's color number 12. And then this blue-gray. It's a really light color. It's coming out a bit darker, a bit more blue on the screen than it really is. And this is number 58. Then we have a turquoise. This is my favorite color. I love blue, but like the turquoise is what I love. And this is color number 38. And then I have 2 shades of purple. This one, which is a darker purple. This is number 76, and I use this for another project, which I'll show in a future podcast as well. And then this one, which is a more grayish lavender type purple, and this is color number 15. So this is all the, let me show you the label, the Olivia, and you can buy this online. She has a lot of colors. I'll see if I can find some of the photos I've taken at the shop of the wall of color, basically, that is in the shop. If I find them, I'll either insert them here or at the end of the podcast. Then, other yarn that she has. So Vittoria was the first yarn to come out, and that's 100% Portuguese wool. This yarn is let me see what it is. It's a 55 merino 45 cotton blend, and seriously, it's lovely to work with. Oh, and this is 50 grams, and it has 350 meters. Seriously, like I said, I only used 2.5 skeins to make the whole top, and like XL size, you know. So what's that, like 700, roughly 850 meters. I don't know how much that's in yards, but you can go check on my Ravelry page. It shows the yardage as well. I used 3 millimeters for this sweater to get gauge. On the dress that I'm making, I did the top part also with 3 millimeters. I didn't do any waist shaping on it because it's a dress, it's more flowy. I didn't want it as fitted. And when I got to the hip increases, which were those cute little cables you saw on the side, I changed needle size. I went up to 325s to have a slightly looser gauge. So, after Vittoria came Olivia, and after Olivia came Amelia. And Amelia is 100% merino wool, and it's like tweed. Now, I probably did not pick the best skein to show you. I have several skeins of this in my stash. It's like a blue. You can see a bit of the tweeds and all that. This is like a deep ocean color. I love this color. And I probably will have to get a lot more of this to make a nice sweater out of this, because this is gorgeous. So this is the labels. Oh, all the labels, I'll have to ask Joanna to verify who makes these labels, but that's a friend of hers that makes these labels, and they're just gorgeous, seriously. She also made the logo for the shop, which is this one, the logo, and she made all these cute little, let's see, this one's got little flowers on it, and the next one, which is the most recent yarn, sorry, after the Amelia came, this is like, what is this? This is a fingering, I suppose. It's for like 4mm. You can use this maybe with a 4.5 if you want to lose your gauge, or maybe go up to 6 and use it double. It's a single ply, by the way, single ply. Gorgeous yarn. I've made like maybe 3 pairs of Kerlig mittens by Isolde with this yarn. Gorgeous. So soft. Seriously, this is, it does have a lot, I think it's lanolin or something. When you wash it out, it like the water gets really cloudy, but gorgeous yarn to work with. Seriously, love it. So after Amelia came Donna Amelia, which is the same yarn, again single ply, but thicker. Now I would call this maybe an Aran weight, but she's got it as a bulky on Ravelry. This is for 4.5 to 6mm needles, so that's, I believe, a US 7, from a US 7 upwards. Okay, so this is a lighter color. Again, blue. You can tell, I love blue. Let's see if I can get closer. Maybe this shows, see, like the purple here, the purples. She has a lot of colors. Again, I'll see if I can find my pictures of all this yarn and put it all towards the end. The latest yarn she has there, it's a yarn I love. It's similar to the Holstgarn, and I love this label. Okay, this one, I know I have pictures of this, so I'll definitely put up the wall of color for this. And it's to die for. It's so hard to choose a color that you like. I've chosen a nice plain oatmeal color here to show off, but there's so many colors, seriously. It's so hard to choose. Okay, so I'll show you the label first. It's here. How gorgeous is that? It's called Ophelia. And as you can see, just the plain. And this one, I should start with this one again. This is, again, 50 grams. This is the Donna Amelia. There, Donna Amelia, so this is the heavier one. Also single ply. This one has 50 grams, 80 meters. And the Amelia has 50 grams, 190 meters. Okay, so Ophelia. This is for 3mm to 3.5mm, but I know that Joanna is knitting this on, I believe, 4.5mm held double. Gorgeous effect, seriously, lovely. And this is 50 grams, 286 meters. So again, like a lot of yarn, a lot of yardage for like such a small little skein. I'm going to use this.
along with another color I got, and I'm going to mix it with the Holst Garn I still have in my stash to make the sweater I mentioned before, the Des-en-Moi in Mouton. I just haven't started yet because there's a bit of a running joke, I suppose, going on with me and Joanna. I won't say her last name. It's Joanna B. Because actually it's kind of fitting. I'm wearing this top and I have that one over there to show because it started with this one. She started making it before I did, and then I had other things to do, and I decided to put those on hold because I really wanted to make this sweater. I made it and I finished it before her. Then we did this cowl for this top. Again, she started the sweater before me, and I finished it before her. So when I said I wanted to do the deep end shawl, she's like, you can't start it until I tell you you can start it. So I haven't started it yet. She's finished it in the meantime, and she's given me the go-ahead. And that's the case with this ongoing cowl now at Ovelia with the Des-en-Moi in Mouton. I wasn't allowed to start it until she had finished most of it because she didn't want to have another sweater that she'd started first and I finished first. Then in the meantime, another friend of mine was also doing hers, and she's like, nope, you can't start it yet because I want to finish mine before you finish yours. So that's okay. I'm doing socks in March, not a problem. So yeah, I think that is it for today. Let me check my show notes. Pretty much it, yeah. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I have way too much stuff to do today. So yeah, I'm gonna go on and see how this has gone. Get the show notes up on the blog and put on the links towards the end to find my photos. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.